Hello, this is Zan Philosopher, and I'm doing another edition of C Blog. And I know I haven't been doing videos lately. I've been very busy with work and school, but I wanted to attention something that I think needs to be addressed. And that's something that just came in the forefront in the recent days, and that is the role of the role of women in combat. And the reason why I mentioned this because uh, the Secretary Leon Panetta uh, um, has lift, has announced the new rules, which essentially lifts the ban on women to engage in certain areas of the military, um, particularly those in when it comes to infantry and and ground ground combat. Like um, really in the front lines. So uh, initially, my first um, my first reaction was I was very skeptical of the move, um, and it's not because um, I'm a sexist, chauvinist person. Actually, I consider myself very, very, when it comes to um, role of men and women, I myself very, more contemporary to to the the thought of today, that the that women have place in every area of life, including in the area of leadership. Though um, my managers are all basically all women, so and and as far as treating women, not treating with respect. I don't think they're any inferior or any less than men. No, men, they have qualities which I think are that men do not have. So I come here to this topic with a very uh, open mind, no, um, and um, but with a lot of skepticism, no, particularly be, uh, when it comes to women in the military, because the military is a very physically demanding role, particularly when it comes to ground warfare. I mean, you have to carry, from what I heard, um, my dad was in training, and there was a lot. I think he shared, yeah, things that even I don't think would would able to bear, have to carry a bunch of equipment. And I wanna read um, something from the book. I've I've read this book about a while back, and it's helped me to view this very, give me perspective on this, and I've got to find when put um, that when today's feminists say they want to be equal, they don't necessarily mean um, what, what I think to be equal. No, to me, equality is in equal value before the law and equal in society. You are equal. No, but I think in today's feminism, the modern feminism uh, takes it a step further and goes beyond equality. I think when we talk about equal, especially here, when they're pushing for women to be allowed in combat, they mean sameness, and equality and sameness are not the same. And I know it sounds like um, semantics, but it's a very clear distinction. Here, I'm gonna go back to the musclehead and 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 here and let me just read. Um, Let me read that from um, um, let, let me read. I'm gonna start from this um, this heading, from historic to modern feminism. So what happened to this kind of feminism? Modern day feminism is not a true is not a true descendant of historic feminism. For example, Gloria Steinem, the founder of Miss Magazine and perhaps the single most visible icon of modern feminist move, movement, is often credited with having originated the saying, "A woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle." While she did not make this phrase, she did make this phrase famous. The original of the sentiment is actually Australian author Irina Dunn. This is but one of many indicators that for us to discuss the current feminist movement is to discuss an entirely different subject than the historic feminism that fought for and deserved equality in the voting booth and marketplace. Those who have picked up the mantle and claim that they speak on behalf of women in the modern era have dared to continue the rhetoric about equality when in fact they're not what they are advocating at all. Um, what they want is better described by different words. By a different word. Historic feminists did not fight for historic feminists did indeed fight for equality, and legitimately so. But so many of today's feminists are actually fighting for something else. Sameness. On the surface, equality and sameness might not appear to be all that different. If a woman wishes to be treated equal, isn't she, after all, asking to be treated the same as a man? Actually, no. Equality, uh, and then goes to another head. Defining true equality. Equality bears with its two different levels of meaning. According to the U.S. Constitution, all men are created equal. Susan Beatty was correct to argue that the word "men" in that context is properly understood as mankind, humanity, men, the species. This is obviously was not the way the term was interpreted in the day during which Miss Anthony labored on behalf of women's suffrage. In terms of sexes and races, this equality includes the right to sit on any seat of the bus, to dine in any restaurant, to travel freely to and fro without fear of intimidation. Yet this is only the bare minimum of equality, of what equality means. There is a deeper meaning we need to acknowledge as well. Our founders knew that ultimately no one can bestow the state of equality upon another man. This wasn't any man to take away, nor it could be any man and to offer. Those who wrote and signed um, uh, the U.S. Constitution recognized that equality originated from God, who was bigger than them, beyond them, and is not a political right. It is a divine right bestowed to all by God Himself. In practice, then, true equality should never demean somebody on the basis of gender. True equality should never allow one human being to possess another. And for the most part, historic feminists such as Miss Anthony made the case one day issue and ruled they because the discrimination being carried out against women was obvious and even simple and even simple scrutiny of the U.S. Constitution bore that out. What that means is that the value of men and women is before God is the same. So God doesn't see distinction. He gives the same to all humanity. Gives the same value. But contrasting equality and sameness. Sameness, however, is not equality. It is not even a proper substitute for it. While equality seeks to bring the value of the two genders into parity, sameness seeks to render the distinction between the two genders meaningless. Equality argues that though the roles of two genders may be different, the value or the worth of one or the other is never lessened. When Anthony fought tirelessly for equality in the voting booth, she addressed the issue of value. Women were not being allowed voice in the political arena. Society has established a value on the thoughts and votes of men and not women. This was unfair because this meant women had to live under the rule of elected leaders which they had no voice in choosing. Society in essence said that only man's voice had any value. Sameness tries to assert that society will function perfectly when we obliterate all distinctions between man and woman. For instance, modern day feminists will insist that a 5'5" female firefighter who weighs 130 pounds will never be thought as weaker than a 6'2" male firefighter who weighs 230 pounds. Even if the field firefighter could not lift double her own body weight, she would never be able to lift as much as her male counterpart. It is not a statement of inequality to say that one can lift more than the other, because there is no truth that asserts that all women can lift as much as men. What's more, that the woman might be much more adept at operating communication equipment and relaying orders to firefighters who are in the heat of trying to save lives in a burning building. The point is this: if a person's abilities were measured on the basis of what he or she can do, the woman would not pass the test for being the same. But her value to the firefighters could could most definitely be seen as equal if she had a role she could fulfill with excellence. The same is true about the family unit. Every child deserves a mother and a father. Modern day feminists tell us this isn't the case. They reason that every child who has two adults to care for them, regardless of their gender, should be reasonably fine. But there are so many problems with such thinking that it's mind-boggling. Without father, son grows up without a true sense of what being a man is about. No one has modeled it for him. No one has explained to him in the language that only a father can, as to how we should develop in his worth ethic, mind his temper, and develop his code of personal integrity. All these subjects can be talked about from a woman's perspective, but they will never carry the same in, impact as the father who is living out his philosophy in front of that same son. Likewise, how does it ever benefit a daughter to deprive her of the nature of her own mother? How does she learn about her body, her self-image, her confidence, and the ins and outs of interacting with boys, not to mention all the changes that occur once puberty begins? And the same girl needs a father too, someone to model for her how a woman should be treated respectfully. The girl needs to see her father, cherish her mother. The girl deserves the chance to enjoy a long and steady relationship with a man who will open up the door for her, take her on dates, and love her unconditionally. This groundwork prepares her for her dating relationship in which the boys had better treat her with the same amount of overflowing respect that her dad shows to her and her mother, or else there will be no relationship. Sons and daughters both deserve a mother and a father. Both are equal in the value that they bring to the children's lives, and yet both are distinct in the substance of what they bring. Sadly, the rhetoric from today's feminists has convinced otherwise. They have so beaten into the psyche of society that people must be treated the same as opposed to equal. Now, let me uh, let me just explain what that means. Um, the sameness is not the same as equality. Sameness wants to erase all differences between men and women, including physical, emotional, and spiritual. I mean, there is a lot. Of course, spiritually we are the same. No, we are the same spirit, but physically and emotionally we are men and women are not the same. They are very different biologically. Just think of biologically. Um, I mean, it would be foolish. It would be stupid to say that um, men and women are not different because the proof is right there in our bodies. No, we don't have the same reproductive parts. No, and also our makeup of our bodies are not made differently. It is proven that mm, women have a smaller skeleton. Also, the brain of a man and woman uh, is different. So there are many distinctions between man and a woman, and no matter what laws you pass, no matter what you say, how you code it, or say this is that, you cannot change human nature, and that's what I'm trying to say, that maybe putting a woman with a man in the same in combat role is not the best idea. I mean, um, instinct instinct tells us to that the man would react, um, if the woman was in danger, would react uh, instinctively and protect, no, her life regardless of the circumstances. So, um, and you know, and we have to think of this issue, no, really think of it, and how would, if it's hard enough to see the 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 bodies of sons come in caskets. Imagine if more, with this there would be more and more deaths of women because they are in the front lines. So more and more women will will be die of naturally because they are killed in the line of duty. So I just started to really think. We have to really think what we're doing, not just in the military, but as a whole. Are we destroying bound? Are we destroying distinctions that, no, nature and God put there without regarding to the consequences? That's just my analysis. God bless you. I hope I could talk to you about this in the future. Amen.